You know, I keep hearing the same story over and over. People come to me and say, Barbara, I've been taking calcium supplements every single day for years, but my bone density test came back worse than before. My doctor says I'm losing bone mass. Why isn't the calcium working? And honestly, every time I hear this, my heart goes out to them because they're doing what they've been told to do. They're taking their calcium religiously. But here's the truth that nobody is telling you. Calcium alone doesn't work, not for bone strength, not for preventing fractures, not for stopping osteoporosis, and definitely not for rebuilding bone density after 60. It only becomes powerful when you combine it with 3 specific things that transform calcium from a useless mineral floating in your bloodstream into a bone-building powerhouse that actually gets deposited where it belongs, in your bones, not in your arteries. And today I'm going to reveal exactly what those 3 things are, why they work, how they work together, and the simple way to add them to your routine so your bones finally start getting stronger like they're supposed to. But before we get into the magic combination, let me show you why calcium on its own is not only ineffective, it can actually be dangerous. Most people think that if they just take more calcium, their bones will automatically get stronger. But here's the catch that the supplement industry doesn't want you to know. Your body doesn't know what to do with calcium unless you give it very specific instructions. Without the right cofactors, that calcium you're swallowing every morning doesn't go to your bones. It floats around in your bloodstream and then it starts depositing in all the wrong places. Your arteries, your joints, your kidneys, your soft tissues. That's why so many people taking high-dose calcium supplements end up with arterial calcification, kidney stones, and stiff joints, while their bones continue to weaken. It's like pouring concrete mix on your driveway without spreading it properly. It just hardens in clumps where you don't want it. Calcium is the concrete mix, yes, but today I'm going to give you the tools to spread it exactly where your body needs it. And trust me, once you start combining calcium with these 3 critical nutrients, you're going to feel the difference. People notice their joint pain decreases, their posture improves, they feel more stable on their feet, their teeth feel stronger, and that deep fear of fracturing a hip or breaking a wrist, the kind of fear that keeps people from living fully after 60, that fear begins to fade because their bones are finally rebuilding. Because bone loss isn't just about fractures, it's about losing your independence. It's about the fear of falling. It's about watching your height shrink year after year. It's about chronic back pain from compression fractures. It's about losing confidence in your body. And the calcium combination I'm about to share with you addresses bone health from every angle, the mineral matrix, the collagen framework, the hormonal signals, and the cellular activation, so you finally get real results instead of just taking pills and hoping something changes. Let's talk about what calcium actually needs to work properly so we understand its role. Calcium is a mineral. It's the raw building material for your bones. But minerals don't absorb themselves. They need carrier molecules, they need the right pH environment in your gut, they need cofactors that tell your body where to send them, and they need activation signals that tell your bones to actually accept them and incorporate them into the bone matrix. Without these elements, you could take 2,000 milligrams of calcium every single day, and your bones would still be deteriorating. That's why calcium alone is helpful, but it's not enough. Think of it like having bricks to build a house. You have all the bricks in the world, which is good, but without cement to hold them together, without a blueprint to follow, and without workers to place them correctly, those bricks just sit in a pile. They don't become a house. That house is your skeleton. And the 3 nutrients calcium desperately needs are the cement, the blueprint, and the workers. So what is the first nutrient that activates calcium and directs it into your bones instead of your arteries? It's vitamin K2. And listen, I know you may have heard of vitamin K before, but most people have only heard of vitamin K1, which is involved in blood clotting. Vitamin K2 is completely different. K2 is the traffic director for calcium. It activates 2 critical proteins in your body, osteocalcin and matrix GLA protein. Osteocalcin grabs calcium from your bloodstream and delivers it directly into your bone tissue. Matrix GLA protein does the opposite. It prevents calcium from depositing in your arteries and soft tissues. This means that vitamin K2 doesn't just help build bone, it protects your cardiovascular system at the same time. But here's where the magic happens. Most people are severely deficient in K2 because it's only found in certain foods that modern diets have eliminated. Fermented foods like natto, certain cheeses like Gouda and Brie, egg yolks from pasture-raised chickens, liver, and fermented vegetables. If you're not eating these regularly, you're almost certainly K2 deficient. And when you're K2 deficient, all that calcium you're taking has nowhere to go. It's like having a delivery truck full of packages but no GPS and no address. The calcium just wanders around causing problems. But when you add K2, suddenly everything changes. The calcium gets escorted directly to your bones, your bone density starts improving, your arteries stay clean and flexible, and your body finally uses the calcium the way nature intended. Now, vitamin K2 is powerful, but it needs help. The second critical nutrient is magnesium, and this is where most people's calcium supplementation completely falls apart. Magnesium is required for over 300 biochemical reactions in your body, and several of them are directly related to bone health. First, magnesium is needed to convert vitamin D into its active form. Without enough magnesium, your vitamin D supplements aren't working. Second, magnesium regulates parathyroid hormone, which controls how much calcium gets pulled out of your bones versus deposited into them. Third, magnesium is actually part of the bone crystal structure itself. About 60% of your body's magnesium is stored in your bones. When you're magnesium deficient, your body literally pulls magnesium out of your bones to use for other critical functions, and when magnesium leaves, calcium leaves with it. But here's the problem. Most people over 60 are severely magnesium deficient. Why? Because magnesium is depleted by stress, poor soil quality in our food, processed foods, medications like diuretics and proton pump inhibitors, excess calcium supplementation without magnesium, and poor gut absorption. The standard recommendation is to take calcium and magnesium in a 2-to-1 ratio, meaning if you take 1,000 milligrams of calcium, you need 500 milligrams of magnesium. But honestly, many people over 60 need even more magnesium than that because their absorption is compromised and their stress levels are higher. When you combine calcium with magnesium and K2, you create a synergistic effect. The calcium provides the raw material. The K2 directs where it goes. The magnesium ensures it actually gets incorporated into the bone structure and stays there. This is the foundation. But we're not done yet. The third critical nutrient that makes calcium work is vitamin D3. And I'm not talking about the tiny 400 IU dose that's in most multivitamins. I'm talking about therapeutic doses that actually make a difference. Vitamin D3 is not technically a vitamin, it's a hormone. And it's the master regulator of calcium metabolism. Without adequate D3, your gut can only absorb about 10 to 15% of the calcium you consume. With optimal 3 levels, that absorption jumps to 30 to 40% or higher. D3 increases the production of calcium-binding proteins in your intestinal cells. It signals your bones to accept calcium. It regulates parathyroid hormone to prevent excessive bone breakdown, and it works synergistically with K2 to ensure calcium goes to bones and not arteries. But here's what most doctors don't tell you. The RDA for vitamin D is far too low for optimal bone health, especially after 60. Most people need between 2,000 and 5,000 IU daily, and some need even more depending on their blood levels, sun exposure, body weight, and absorption capacity. I always recommend getting your vitamin D level tested. You want your blood level to be between 50 and 80 nanograms per milliliter, not just above 30, which is the minimum to prevent deficiency. There's a huge difference between preventing deficiency and optimizing bone health. And here's something fascinating. Vitamin D3 and K2 work as a team. D3 tells your body to absorb more calcium. K2 tells your body where to put it. If you take high-dose D3 without K2, you can actually accelerate arterial calcification. But when you take them together, your bones get stronger and your arteries stay clear. This is why I always say, never take vitamin D without K2 and never take calcium without both of them. Now let's talk about something most people never consider when it comes to bone health. Your gut. The health of your digestive system determines whether you absorb calcium or not. You can take all the calcium supplements in the world, but if your gut is inflamed, if your stomach acid is low, if your microbiome is imbalanced, or if you have leaky gut, you will not absorb minerals effectively. Period. This is one of the biggest reasons why calcium supplementation fails in older adults. As we age, stomach acid production naturally decreases. Many people over 60 are on acid-blocking medications like proton pump inhibitors, which further reduce acid. And stomach acid is absolutely essential for breaking down and ionizing calcium, so it can be absorbed in the small intestine. If your stomach pH is too high, meaning not acidic enough, calcium stays in its insoluble form and passes right through your digestive tract without being absorbed. This is why I always recommend taking calcium with meals, ideally with foods that stimulate acid production, and considering a supplement of betaine HCl if you have low stomach acid. But there's another layer to this. Your gut microbiome plays a direct role in bone health. Certain beneficial bacteria produce short-chain fatty acids, like butyrate, which improve calcium absorption and reduce gut inflammation. They also produce vitamin K2 in your intestines. When your microbiome is healthy and diverse, your bones benefit. When it's disrupted by antibiotics, processed foods, stress, or lack of fiber, your bone density suffers, even if you're taking calcium. This is why I'm a huge advocate for fermented foods. Foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, kefir, yogurt, and fermented vegetables not only provide beneficial bacteria, they also provide natural vitamin K2. It's a double benefit for your bones. And here's something else. Gut inflammation triggers systemic inflammation, and chronic inflammation activates osteoclasts, the cells that break down bone tissue. When inflammation is high, bone breakdown accelerates faster than bone building, even if you're getting enough calcium. So healing your gut isn't just about digestion, it's about stopping the inflammatory cascade that's silently destroying your bones. Add more fiber, eat fermented foods daily, remove processed foods and sugar, and support your stomach acid production. When your gut is happy, your bones are happy. Here's something that will surprise you. Your bones are not just made of calcium. In fact, calcium only makes up about 65% of your bone mass. The other 35% is collagen. Collagen is the protein matrix that gives bones their flexibility, their tensile strength, and their ability to absorb shock without fracturing. Think of your bones like reinforced concrete. The calcium is the hard mineral component, like the concrete. The collagen is the steel rebar inside that prevents the concrete from shattering under pressure. Without collagen, your bones become brittle. They might look dense on a scan, but they fracture easily because they've lost their structural integrity. This is why some people have decent bone density scores, but still break bones from minor falls. Their bones have calcium, but not enough collagen. As we age, collagen production declines dramatically. After age 60, we lose about 1 to 2% of our collagen per year. This affects our skin, yes, but it also affects our bones, tendons, ligaments, and joints. If you want strong bones, you need to support collagen synthesis. How? First, consume collagen-rich foods or supplements. Bone broth is one of the best sources because it contains collagen along with minerals like calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus in their most bioavailable forms. Gelatin, which is cooked collagen, is another excellent option. You can add it to smoothies, soups, or make healthy desserts with it. But here's the key. Your body can't use dietary collagen directly. It breaks it down into amino acids and then rebuilds it into the specific type of collagen your bones need. And for that rebuilding process, you need vitamin C. Vitamin C is the rate-limiting factor in collagen synthesis. Without enough vitamin C, your body cannot produce collagen no matter how much protein you eat. This is why scurvy caused by severe vitamin C deficiency leads to bone problems and tooth loss. The bones literally fall apart because collagen production stops. So if you want strong bones, you need calcium plus collagen plus vitamin C. This combination gives you both the mineral density and the structural framework. I recommend at least 500 to 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C daily, preferably from whole food sources like citrus fruits, bell peppers, berries, and leafy greens, along with a collagen supplement or bone broth several times per week. Let's address a myth that has damaged bone health for decades: the myth that protein is bad for your bones. This idea came from old studies that showed high protein intake increased calcium excretion in urine, leading researchers to conclude that protein leaches calcium from bones. But newer research has completely debunked this. Yes, protein increases calcium excretion, but it also increases calcium absorption even more. The net effect is positive for bone health, not negative. In fact, low protein intake is one of the biggest risk factors for osteoporosis and fractures in older adults. Protein provides the amino acids needed to build collagen, osteocalcin, and other bone matrix proteins. It stimulates the production of IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor, which promotes bone formation. It helps maintain muscle mass, and muscle mass is directly correlated with bone density because muscles pull on bones, signaling them to stay strong. After age 60, protein needs actually increase, not decrease. Most older adults need at least 1 to 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day, and some need even more if they're active or recovering from illness. That's about 70 to 90 grams for an average-sized person. But here's the catch. Older adults often have reduced appetite, dental problems, or digestive issues that make it hard to eat enough protein. They also have decreased protein synthesis efficiency, meaning their bodies don't use protein as effectively as younger people. This is why I emphasize high-quality, easily digestible protein sources. Eggs, fish, chicken, grass-fed beef, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, and if needed, a high-quality protein powder. And timing matters. Spreading protein throughout the day is better than eating it all in one meal because your body can only use about 25 to 30 grams per meal for muscle and bone synthesis. The rest gets used for energy or converted to other compounds. So aim for 25 to 30 grams at each meal. This keeps your body in a constant state of bone and muscle building rather than breakdown. And always combine your protein with vegetables and healthy fats to support absorption and reduce inflammation. Protein is not the enemy of bones, it's the builder. Now we need to talk about hormones because after age 60, hormonal changes have a massive impact on bone density, especially for women. Estrogen is one of the most powerful bone-protecting hormones in the body. It inhibits osteoclasts, the cells that break down bone, and promotes osteoblasts, the cells that build new bone. During menopause, when estrogen levels plummet, bone breakdown accelerates dramatically. This is why women can lose up to 20% of their bone density in the first 5 to 7 years after menopause. It's not because they're suddenly deficient in calcium, it's because they've lost the hormonal protection that kept their bones strong. For men, testosterone plays a similar role. Low testosterone is associated with decreased bone density and increased fracture risk. And both men and women produce less growth hormone and IGF-1 as they age, which further slows bone formation. So what can you do? First, understand that conventional hormone replacement therapy can help protect bones, but it's not the only option and it's not right for everyone. There are natural approaches that support hormonal balance and bone health. Phytoestrogens, plant compounds that have mild estrogen-like effects, can help. These are found in foods like flax seeds, sesame seeds, legumes, and fermented soy products like tempeh and miso. They don't replace estrogen, but they provide gentle hormonal support. Weight-bearing exercise is one of the most powerful natural ways to boost bone-protecting hormones. Resistance training stimulates testosterone and growth hormone production in both men and women. It also creates mechanical stress on bones, which is the most important signal for bone building. Your bones respond to the demands placed on them. If you sit all day, your bones think they're not needed and they weaken. If you lift weights, walk, dance, or do impact activities, your bones get the message that they need to be strong and they respond by building more bone tissue. Adequate sleep is also critical for hormonal balance. Growth hormone is primarily released during deep sleep. If you're not sleeping well, your bones are not rebuilding optimally. And manage stress. Chronic stress elevates cortisol, which directly breaks down bone tissue and interferes with calcium absorption. Practices like meditation, deep breathing, time in nature, and connection with loved ones all lower cortisol and support bone health indirectly by balancing your hormonal environment. Hormones are messengers. When the messages say build bone, your body builds bone. When the messages say break down bone, your body complies. You have more control over these messages than you think. Let me be very clear about something. No amount of calcium, vitamin D, K2, magnesium, collagen, or protein will build strong bones if you're sedentary. Your bones need mechanical stress to trigger bone formation. This is called Wolff's Law. Bone adapts to the loads placed upon it. If you never place significant load on your bones, they weaken because your body is efficient. It doesn't waste resources maintaining bone tissue that isn't being used. This is why astronauts lose bone density in space despite perfect nutrition. The absence of gravity means no mechanical stress, and without stress, bones atrophy. The types of exercise that build bone are weight-bearing and resistance exercises. Weight-bearing means your bones are supporting your body weight against gravity. Walking, jogging, dancing, hiking, stair climbing, and tennis are all weight-bearing. Swimming and cycling, while great for cardiovascular health, are not weight-bearing and don't stimulate bone growth. Resistance training means you're working your muscles against resistance, which pulls on your bones and stimulates them to get stronger. Lifting weights, resistance bands, body weight exercises like squats and push-ups, all of these build bone density. And here's something important. High-impact exercise, where your feet leave the ground, is especially powerful for bone building. Jumping, running, and plyometric exercises create sudden loads that trigger a strong bone-building response. Obviously, if you already have severe osteoporosis or a high fracture risk, you need to be careful and work with a physical therapist. But if you're at the prevention stage or early bone loss stage, don't be afraid of impact. Your bones need it. I recommend at least 30 minutes of weight-bearing exercise most days of the week, plus 2 to 3 sessions of resistance training. And don't forget balance exercises, especially after 60. Preventing falls is just as important as strengthening bones. Yoga, Tai Chi, and simple balance drills can dramatically reduce your fall risk, which reduces your fracture risk. Your bones are living tissue. They respond to how you use them. If you tell them through movement that they need to be strong, they will be. If you tell them through inactivity that they're not needed, they'll disappear. It's your choice. Now let's talk about the things that are actively stealing calcium from your bones and undermining everything you're trying to do. First on the list is sugar. Excess sugar consumption increases calcium excretion through urine. It also creates an acidic environment in your body, and when your blood becomes too acidic, your body pulls calcium from your bones to neutralize it. Sugar also triggers inflammation, which activates bone breakdown. If you're serious about bone health, reducing added sugar is non-negotiable. Next is caffeine. Now, I'm not saying you can never have coffee or tea, but excessive caffeine, more than 3 or 4 cups a day, can increase calcium loss and interfere with absorption. If you drink coffee, make sure you're getting enough calcium and consider adding milk or a calcium source to your coffee. Alcohol is another bone thief. Chronic alcohol consumption interferes with calcium absorption, disrupts vitamin D metabolism, and directly damages bone-forming cells. Moderate consumption, 1 drink per day for women or 2 for men, is probably fine. But heavy drinking is devastating to bones. Soft drinks, especially colas, contain phosphoric acid, which binds to calcium and prevents its absorption. High phosphorus intake without adequate calcium shifts your body's mineral balance and can actually pull calcium out of bones. Salty processed foods are also problematic. High sodium intake increases calcium excretion in urine. For every 2,300 milligrams of sodium you consume, you lose about 40 milligrams of calcium. If you're eating a processed food diet high in sodium, you're literally urinating away your bone density. Smoking is one of the worst things you can do for bone health. It decreases estrogen levels, impairs blood flow to bones, reduces calcium absorption, and directly damages bone cells. Smokers have significantly higher rates of osteoporosis and fractures. If you smoke, quitting is one of the best things you can do for your bones and your overall health. And finally, certain medications can harm bones. Corticosteroids like prednisone, when taken long-term, cause significant bone loss. Proton pump inhibitors reduce calcium absorption. Some antidepressants, anticonvulsants, and diabetes medications can affect bone density. If you're on any of these, talk to your doctor about bone protective strategies and monitoring your bone density regularly. The point is, you can't out-supplement a toxic lifestyle if you're taking calcium and vitamin D, but continuing to. Consume high amounts of sugar, alcohol, caffeine, and processed foods, you're working against yourself. Bone health requires a holistic approach. Remove the things that harm, add the things that heal. So let's bring this all together into a simple, actionable system that you can start today. This is the complete bone building formula that addresses every aspect of bone health. First, your foundation nutrients. Calcium 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams daily, preferably from food sources like dairy, leafy greens, sardines with bones, and almonds, supplemented if needed. Vitamin K2, 100 to 200 micrograms daily from fermented foods, egg yolks, or a supplement. Magnesium, 400 to 500 milligrams daily from foods like pumpkin seeds, spinach, dark chocolate, and supplements if needed. Vitamin D3, 2,000 to 5,000 IU daily based on your blood levels, always taken with K2. Second, your structural support. Collagen from bone broth, gelatin, or a quality collagen supplement at least 3 to 4 times per week. Vitamin C, 500 to 1,000 milligrams daily from food and supplements. Protein, 25 to 30 grams per meal, 3 times daily from high-quality sources. Third, your lifestyle factors. Weight-bearing and resistance exercise at least 30 minutes most days, with 2 to 3 strength training sessions per week, quality sleep 7 to 8 hours per night in complete darkness to optimize growth hormone, stress management, daily practices that lower cortisol and support hormonal balance, gut health, fermented foods daily, plenty of fiber, adequate stomach acid. Fourth, remove the bone thieves. Reduce or eliminate added sugar, excess caffeine, alcohol, soft drinks, processed foods high in sodium and phosphates, and if you smoke, quit. This might seem like a lot, but you don't have to do everything perfectly all at once. Start with the foundation. Get your vitamin D, K2, and magnesium levels optimized. Add collagen support. Focus on protein at every meal. Start moving your body with purpose. Clean up your diet gradually. Each small change compounds over time. Your bones are rebuilding constantly. Every single day, old bone is broken down and new bone is formed. The question is, are you providing the raw materials and the signals your body needs to build more than it breaks down? If you are, your bones get stronger. If you're not, they get weaker. It's that simple. I've seen this work in countless people. I've seen women in their 70s reverse osteoporosis diagnoses. I've seen men in their 80s build muscle and bone density for the first time in decades. I've seen people go from being terrified of falling to hiking, dancing, and living fully again. It's never too late. Your bones can rebuild at any age if you give them what they need. Yes, it's harder after 60. Yes, the process is slower. But it absolutely works if you're consistent and if you address all the factors, not just calcium. One woman I worked with had been told by her doctor that her bones were so weak she needed to avoid all physical activity. She was taking calcium supplements but getting worse every year. When she started the complete protocol, vitamin D, K2, magnesium, collagen, increased protein, resistance training with a trainer, and fermented foods, within 6 months her energy improved. Within a year, her bone density scan showed improvement for the first time in a decade. She's now 72, lifts weights 3 times a week, and recently went on a hiking trip with her grandchildren. That's what's possible when you do this right. I want to give you one final thing. Consistency is everything. The most powerful nutrients in the world don't work if you only take them occasionally. Your bones are rebuilt slowly over months and years, not days and weeks. Give this protocol at least 3 to 6 months before you judge the results. Get a baseline bone density scan if you can, then recheck in a year or 2. Track how you feel. Do you have more energy, less pain, better posture, more confidence in your movement? These are signs that your bones are responding even before a scan shows it. You deserve to feel strong and stable in your body. You deserve to live without fear of fractures. You deserve bones that support you, not bones that limit you. And this complete approach, calcium plus K2 plus magnesium plus D3 plus collagen plus protein plus exercise plus gut health plus removing toxins, this is how you get there. It's not about one miracle nutrient. It's about creating an environment in your body where bones thrive. Start today. Choose one thing from this video and implement it. Then add another next week. Build momentum. Your future self will thank you. Because strong bones aren't just about preventing fractures. They're about freedom. The freedom to move, to travel, to play with grandchildren, to live fully without fear. That freedom is worth fighting for. And now you have the tools to make it happen. Calcium alone doesn't work, but calcium with the right partners, that changes everything.